Given that encryption, or cryptography in general, plays such an essential role in security, we can only expect that attackers will always try to break an encryption scheme. Typically, the goal of such an attack is to uncover the plaintext from the ciphertext or to discover the encryption key. For example, an attacker may try to recover the plaintext from the ciphertext that is transmitted on the internet. And you may ask, how can the attacker obtain such ciphertext that's transmitted on the internet? The answer is, actually, this is very feasible because an attacker can use a packet capturing tool to capture the traffic and then extract the ciphertext in the traffic. And then from there, the attacker can attempt to recover the plaintext from the captured ciphertext. So as a rule of thumb, we should always assume that the ciphertext that we transmit over the internet can be captured by an attacker. Alternatively, the attacker may try to discover the encryption key so that he can then decrypt all the data encrypted using this key. There are several attack methods. The first, simplest, and yet the most inefficient way is to use brute force, or just search blindly. For example, an attacker can try all possible keys one by one until the one that can decrypt the ciphertext properly into plaintext. And you may ask, how does the attacker know that the decryption with the key has worked properly? Typically, the attacker knows what the plaintext should look like. For example, if the plaintext is an English sentence, then only the correct key can decrypt the ciphertext into data that can be read as English. This method is very inefficient because the number of possible keys can be huge, and so brute force or search blindly can take a long time to succeed. Another approach is to use cryptanalysis. Here, an attacker has some knowledge of the encryption algorithm and perhaps the characteristics of data such as distribution of certain letters or words. With such knowledge, the attacker can do a lot better than using brute force to search the entire key space. Attackers can also exploit implementation or systems issues. For example, it was shown that by using side-channel analysis, for example, by observing the power consumption used by a crypto system, an attacker can deduce values of certain bits of key, and therefore the attacker can significantly decrease the key space that he needs to search. Finally, let's not forget that the weakest link in security is the naive users, and they can be exploited using social engineering tricks. For example, an attacker can pretend to be a sysadmin who has just forgotten the key, and he calls an unsuspected user for the encryption key to a system.